You're listening to Scaling Up Services, where we speak with entrepreneurs, authors, business experts, and thought leaders to give you the knowledge and insights you need to scale your service-based business faster and easier. And now, here is your host, business coach Bruce Eckfeldt.
Are you a CEO looking to scale your company faster and easier? Check out Thrive Roundtable. Thrive combines a moderated peer group mastermind, expert one-on-one coaching, access to proven growth tools, and a 24/7 support community. Created by Inc. award-winning CEO and certified scaling up business coach Bruce Eckfeldt, Thrive will help you grow your business more quickly and with less drama. For details on the program, visit eckfeldt.com/thrive. That's ECKFELDT.com/thrive.
Welcome, everyone. This is Scaling Up Services. I'm Bruce Eckfeldt. I'm your host. And our guest today is Ryan Cote, and he is Director of Digital Services and Partner at Ballantine, which is a third-generation direct mail digital marketing company. We're going to find out more about him and what they do. This is a great episode. I think sales and marketing and generating leads is a huge challenge for a lot of companies. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the strategies and lessons learned so you can grow and scale your business faster. So with that, Ryan, welcome to the program.
Hey, Bruce. Happy to be here. Thanks.
So why don't we talk about background first, and then we can kind of get into marketing and marketing strategy. So, it's a third generation business. I'm curious to learn about that. I'm curious to learn about what you've learned just as a business owner, as a business leader that's working to scale the company. Tell us a little bit of background, and then we can talk about marketing.
Yeah, definitely. Those are some great topics. So I'll start off with just a personal note on myself. I live in New Jersey, married for what will soon be 13 years. I have 3 girls. And like you said, I'm part of Ballantine, which is a third generation company. My great uncle started the company in 1966. So this is our 54th year.
Wow.
And my father retired in late 2017. And now myself and my 2 brothers, my uncle, we're partners in the agency. We all have different roles and stuff. And actually the company really, when I started at the company in 2003, it's completely different than what it is now. We've added a digital division, and I used to do marketing. Now I manage the digital division. So my role has changed in terms of managing people and trying to scale the business up. So yeah, I've definitely seen a lot over the last 5 years, especially.
Yeah. And I'm sure within this industry, just that with technology changing and kind of marketing strategy and lead generation strategy changing, that you've had to really kind of morph and transform not only the company, but yourself as a leader in this process.
Definitely transform myself as a leader, definitely realizing that you can't do it on your own. And, I have my limitations, I have my strengths, and I definitely have my limitations. And so it's been a process of putting the right people in the right spot and playing to their strengths and building a team. I'm sure we're going to go over a lot of those topics, but yeah, it's been really fun these last 5 years.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. So let's talk about the business a little bit and where you've chosen to focus from a marketing point of view. And then we talk about sort of service-based businesses and what you've kind of learned and noticed and go from there. So from a marketing services, digital services point of view, what niche have you carved out or where do you focus on and who do you focus on working with?
Yeah, sure. So the company is really 2 companies in one. We have the direct mail division, and that's what we started off with in the mid-60s. I always like to mention that if you remember back in the day, the Columbia House stamp sheet mailers used to get.
Oh my gosh, yes, I'm having flashbacks.
Yep, we had a part in that. And then the AOL disc mailers used to get. We had a part in that as well. You used to get millions and millions of those discs for like the free.
Oh my gosh!
I forget what it was, but 10
60 hours. I remember somebody was like hundreds of hours, like more than you could ever use, kind of thing.
Yeah. So we those were 2 major clients for us in it was the 90s. It was before my time, but it was the 90s. Yeah. So we have the direct mail division. And for that, we go after or we service very large companies that do a lot of direct mail. And thus the campaigns are very complicated and they need someone like us that can just help them manage the process.
Yeah. From
buying the print to getting it mailed to dealing with all the stuff that comes up in the middle. And so that's what we do. On the digital side though, and that's what my role here is, it's completely different. We work with small businesses, manufacturers, professional services, contractors, small companies, not, like maybe 10 to 30 employees. they have no marketing people. They have one marketing person, and we become an extension of their team, or we become their in-house marketing team. And for them, we do everything from search engine optimization to Google Ads, social media content, email, all the traditional digital stuff that you're used to seeing. We basically craft together a strategy for them. So that's Ballantine in like a 2-minute nutshell.
Yeah. And I'm curious, what do you see the print side, the direct mail side as still being applicable? I mean, relevant? Or are you finding ways of integrating these things? What's the connection and where is it showing up for what types of businesses?
So yeah, everyone, that's a good question. People assume that direct mail is dead. It's definitely not dead. We've had 3 good years. And it really depends also. It's changed a lot. Like if we look back to like the 90s, 2000s, like there were bigger campaigns and they were just kind of spray and pray for the most part. Yeah. Now the campaigns are much more targeted because of the data that you have available, but print is still a major part of our business. But we work with a lot of nonprofits. We work with a lot of travel and hospitality companies. And so those industries, they need to use direct mail, and direct mail works for them. Yeah. But we're also seeing a resurgence in direct mail because digital is great. It's very trackable, but it is very saturated. It's very noisy. It changes all the time. It's very complicated. And so we've seen a resurgence in direct mail from companies that you wouldn't think would use digital because they probably have a team of 50 doing digital, and that's probably what they're focused on. But they're starting to realize that direct mail, there's less competition in the mailbox. It's another channel. It's another way to reach your prospects. So we have a lot of these cool startups coming to us, like these food prep companies coming to us for direct mail, just as one example. So it's not, it's just changing. It's like anything. It's just changing.
Now, are these integrated campaigns? I mean, are you kind of looking at this as, kind of multi-pronged strategies? What's the kind of integration between some of the stuff you're doing, digitally and then with print and direct? I mean, how and where are you connecting the dots on these? Yeah,
so we are, because we do both services, we do try to blend as much as possible. To be fully candid, it hasn't been huge for us yet because, the audiences that we service on both ends are completely different. Like I said, on direct mail, it's huge companies. On the digital, it's small. So it's not like we're servicing huge companies on both the direct mail and the digital where we can naturally integrate. But we do, that said, we do have a fairly regular stream of integrated campaigns where one of our direct mail clients, who we might also run Facebook ads for, we'll take their direct mail list and then we'll upload it to Facebook. So while they're sending out mail, we're also showing Facebook ads to the same audience that match on Facebook, and same thing with email. So we try to look for opportunities to blend because it's in the client's best interest. If we can hit their prospects in their mailbox, in their inbox, and in their social feeds, why wouldn't we? So we try to blend as much as possible.
Yeah, and talk to me about targeting. I mean, you mentioned earlier that the strategy now or the capabilities now with data and being able to target audiences. How do you approach targeting? What's possible at this point with some of these sort of targeting technologies and data sets, and what's working and what's not? How can you focus in your audience and really reach the people that you really want to reach?
Yeah, so like right now with Facebook, they're removing a lot of their targeting. So what we've done is, I'll use dealerships as an example. Auto dealerships is a vertical that we're starting to get bigger and bigger in, and they use all our services. So a typical dealership wants to saturate what they call their PMA. It's like the area that they service, and they want to just saturate those people. And so they use us for direct mail, typically postcards. They'll use us for Facebook ads, Google ads, email, everything. So, but the central point is the data. And so with Facebook, we don't really have as many options as we used to a few years ago. And so what we've relied on, we have a really good data partner that we work with. And so their business is data. And so we'll basically come to them and say, here's our client's audience. Here's what they want to hit. What data do you have? And they have thousands of sources and they put together a plan. So it's us relying on our partner for that. But using the dealership as an example, they have data for people that are in market for a certain vehicle. And then we'll take that mail file and we'll send direct mail to it. We'll send email to it. We'll upload it to Facebook and Instagram and run ads. And so we're really blanketing an area that's very targeted. It's people that we know are in market for either the vehicle of our client or a competitive brand that, if they like, say, Nissan, they might like Toyota. Yeah. It's with Facebook taking away a lot of the selects. We've fixed that, quote unquote, by we just rent we rent the data and we upload it to Facebook. Yeah. So.
And what kind of targeting is possible? I mean, I guess it just as a business owner who's trying to figure out how to do targeting, I mean, what are you looking for? Is it just demographic information? I mean, you mentioned kind of competitive, people that are interested in X might be interested in Y. I mean, what are the strategies that you use or that you've seen effective in terms of actually doing the targeting and defining a target?
Yeah, to be honest, our data nowadays and our partner, and I'm sure our partner is not all that unique. I'm sure there's plenty of data partners that can have this, but they have all sorts of, so they have what's called compiled compile data, which is, certain, age and demographics and gender and all that. And then they have responsive data. So people that have responded to certain files, so they might be a subscriber to Sports Illustrated or to whatever. And so if they're a subscriber to Sports Illustrated, you can assume that they might want this product, And then they have a whole other segment where it's like people that are interested in certain things, behavioral selects. And that's, so it's really, there's a lot of options.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Then it sounds like navigating that is kind of the challenge. It's like, well, which ones do you use?
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to a lot of testing. And so the way we do it for the dealership is we give the information to our data partner, and then we say, okay, here's who we're looking to reach. And then they give us our options. So, okay, well, we could do this, we could do that. And then we just look at our options and we think we put together what we think is going to work best. And then we test it and then we change if we need to. So it's really, I guess what I would say to your audience is find a good data partner, and then come to them with whoever your audience is, who you're looking to reach, and then see what options they have to reach those people. Because it's mind blowing how many different targeting selects there are between compile data, responsive, demographic data, behavioral interest selects. And then take that data and do a mail campaign, do email, upload it to Facebook, Instagram. Just use it to your fullest.
Yeah. And talk to me a little bit about the difference between the sort of organic versus marketing. I mean, there's lots of different kind of online strategies these days. What are you focused on? What have you seen that works? What have you learned so far?
Yeah, so search engine optimization and paid advertising, there are still two really big services for us on the digital side. Reason being is because someone has a need and they're going to Google. And I know it's changing a lot. Like SEO is definitely not what it used to be because the search results of Google have changed. There are countless algorithm changes, but it's still a very viable channel for us. You still want to have a strong presence organically, especially as a local business with like Google Maps and Google.com. And so you want to have that organic presence because when someone's doing a search for a keyword, they're looking for something and you want to be one of their options. So SEO and paid search is still key for us. But we do a lot of content and social. So with content, we're sort of looking at that as like an amplifier to SEO because we're keyword optimizing all the content. We've even had a lot of success, just to give you some like actionable tips here. We've even had success with, so maybe we published a stream of blog posts 2 years ago. We look at the ones that are doing very well and then we upgrade them. We update them with new content. We refresh them. We still keep the core of the content as is because if Google likes it, they're sending a lot of traffic to it, but we refresh it with maybe new content and update it. And whenever we do that, it always increases organic reach right now.
Well, and why is that? Because the Google sees it as being a newer page that had a lot of traffic that now has new content, so they're going to push it or rank it even better.
I think so. I think it's because we're picking pieces that are getting a lot of impressions in Google, and you can see that through Search Console. It's getting a lot of traffic. It's getting a lot of impressions. So Google already says, or they're showing you that they like the piece because they're sending traffic to it. And then when you improve a piece that they already like, it gives them more of what they already like. But just word of caution. When you do it, don't change the URL, don't change the metadata, keep like the core stuff the same, just add more content to it and update it if some of the parts of it are not correct anymore. Does that make sense?
No, and I've heard nightmare stories of people that have changed domain names and stuff and then have had not been able to kind of remap their old URLs and, losing thousands of hits a day of traffic because they didn't do it right. And so, tread carefully.
It resets it for sure. Yeah. I would say too, with social media, we're seeing, we have a campaign going on right now we do it a lot for dealerships. It works great, but also they're a supplier of iron doors, which is pretty niche. And we're using Facebook's lead form ad, which is basically like you run an ad, they're opting into something, whether it's a newsletter or it's to get a quote or whatever the case is, to come see a car. And Facebook makes it easy because it's just, they have all the information on you. You're clicking a button. Yes, I'm interested. Your information shows that because Facebook has it. Yes, that's correct. Hit submit and it's done. And it's like with 2 clicks, you're basically raising your hand that you're interested in. And we have a campaign running right now for this iron door supplier using this ad, and it's going really well. So it's like, you never know, like you wouldn't think that would work well, but you test it and it's like, this is actually working very well. So we'll do more of it,
Yeah. Well, I think that kind of philosophy of coming up with ideas, testing those ideas, and then letting data kind of guide where you reinvest, where you continue to innovate seems to be kind of the strategy. Just because you don't really know, you have some general guiding principles, but you kind of have to take some action and try some things, and then see what kind of results you get.
That's true.
So talk to me, if I'm a professional services or just sort of general service provider, contractor, doctor, lawyer, dentist, agency, what are some of the techniques or strategies that you would suggest a company like that consider, or some of the things they do to help start getting some traction from a marketing point of view online?
Yeah, so I would say, definitely SEO and PPC. Those are typically the lead generators of people that are looking for, so for our typical client, they're looking for leads. So like I mentioned, contractors and professional service. So SEO and PPC typically generate the most leads and leads of people that are looking for, they're showing interest in your services. Yeah. And so definitely recommend looking into those two. We're big fans of email, sending out a monthly newsletter, bi-weekly newsletter, just to nurture the leads that you have or nurture the clients you have or the customers. So definitely we happen to like MailChimp at the current moment. But there's plenty of tools out there. So sending out a newsletter, for generating leads for ourselves, if I look at what we do, we do all of that. Trade shows, of course, getting that face-to-face connection, because it can't all be about digital. There needs to be some sort of human connection there. So we're big fans of trade shows. We're actually big fans of cold email too. We don't rely on it, but it's just another channel for us. So we try to attract leads from all different types of channels. And so cold emails, identifying the people you want to work with and sending out cold emails. Content creation is big for us. So we focus on case studies, keyword optimized content, white papers, things like that. Things that are going to attract people organically, but also things that, like if we produce a case study, I can pass it on to my cousin Josh, who does sales here, and he can use it to help generate more sales. So it's like really repurposing what you're doing. Yeah. I do podcasts like this. Yeah. And then the last thing I would mention that I think is something that maybe your audience might not be thinking of is strategic partnerships. So we identify, for us, it's going to be different based on who you are, but for us, it's identifying like marketing consultants. Maybe they're like freelancers, or they're just a one-person consultant and they have their clients. And so we reach out, we connect with them to provide execution for their clients. And so, we become like a sort of like their in-house team to execute on their clients' campaign. So it's like, who has your audience and how can you develop a strategic partnership with them? Yeah. It's got to obviously be a win-win for both sides, but that's been key for us on the digital side, but even the direct mail side, going back to the 30 years, we've been doing this for the last 30 years, developing partnerships like that. Yeah.
And in terms of the content people are producing, any tips or suggestions around how to make compelling content or make sure the content is going to serve you well and from a marketing and a lead generation point of view?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think of what we do. So we look at what our competitors are doing. Yeah. We have keyword tools for SEO. So we see what topics are popular, because we want to write on topics that people are looking for. Here's a free tool. There's a tool that it's called Uber Suggest. You can pop in a topic and it'll give you, it does a whole bunch of things. They're adding to it all the time. It's by this guy named Neil Patel. He's like a marketer, or he is a marketer, and it's called Uber Suggest. And so basically you pop in keywords and it'll give you research, it'll give you feedback on those keywords, but it'll also give you articles or blogs that are written on that topic, and you can see which ones are popular. And so maybe you look for a really popular blog post, and then you try to publish something that's similar but better. Yeah. We also comb through not just keyword tools, but we comb through our Search Console data to see, because that's like right from Google's mouth, like the data, and we look at what keywords are. Because if you look at Search Console, or even like your paid search data, and you're seeing what people are actually searching for, sometimes it'll give you ideas that you wouldn't have thought of on your own. Yeah. And the last thing I'll say, Bruce, is there's tools like Answer the Public that is like a Q&A tool where you put a keyword in, and then it'll come back with questions that people are asking. And that's even more important now because of like voice search, and you want to have content that answers questions. And that tool is Answer the Public. That's what it does.
Interesting. I think that's really important because ultimately, at least I've certainly found it with my clients. I found it with myself in terms of, generating content. The more that you can figure out what is on your prospect's mind, and to your point, how they literally phrase it, like how do they phrase the question? And the more that you can kind of figure that out and then develop content that's going to answer that question or address those issues in the terms, literally using the keywords and the terms that they're framing it in, the more effective that is going to be in terms of connecting with your audience or your audience finding it and then actually connecting it and leading to that. Oh, hey, this is something I'm struggling with or I'm curious about. Here's content that is really addressing it. Maybe I should reach out to these folks and talk more because they seem to know what I'm concerned about. I think that kind of connection is really important.
Yeah, and to add to that, I go back to what I said before about upgrading content. So you don't always have to think of new ideas to write about. You can look at your past blogs that are doing well and then just upgrade them and republish them. And so it doesn't always have to be new ideas. You can always just upgrade the past blogs that are doing very well.
Yeah. Anything else? Any success in terms of syndication or getting? I mean, obviously writing your own blogs and publishing yourself, but in terms of getting content out in other channels and other people's networks. I don't know if you're a fan of Medium and some of these other kind of content platforms. I mean, what's your feeling in terms of success in terms of marketing and lead generation on some of these things?
So in terms of Medium, I write on Medium just as I'm trying to get into the habit of writing more, and as part of my quest to become a better leader, I guess. I write on Medium, and so I'm trying to make a daily habit of that. So I personally write on Medium. I probably have like 10 articles, not that many, and then I do it on LinkedIn as well. In terms of like our clients and what we do for our own marketing, it's not, we don't do too much. We'll put it on social media, of course. So we'll produce a piece of content, and then we'll have a plan that it feeds into our social strategy. And then there's always going to be ad spend behind that. So, okay, what content are we going to create? What keywords are we optimizing it for? Okay, then we're going to put it on Facebook and LinkedIn, et cetera. All right, how much ad spend are we going to put behind it? Who are the audiences we're going to boost it to? Is it going to be to our website audience, retargeting? Is it going to be to a colder audience? So we do map it out that way, but we do not. The thing we don't do, I know there's a lot of agencies that do. We just don't. We don't have like a syndication plan where we're using like Outbrain or one of those tools that gets a lot of eyeballs to it. That's something that we just don't do right now.
Yeah, and I've seen mixed results. I mean, some of that you can get a lot of eyeballs. The question is always, are they the right ones?
I think it depends. Yeah. We haven't had. I've tested it for our own a few years ago, and it like stumbled upon. I don't think they're around anymore, and I tested Outbrain, and we got a lot of views for sure. It just the metrics on the traffic was not very good. But I think it just depends on the topic you're writing about. I know there's plenty of companies that use it successfully. Maybe it's more like BuzzFeed type content that does well. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything that you've seen not work so well, or things that you suggest people don't do, or mistakes that you've seen people make from a digital marketing point of view?
Things that haven't worked.
Waste of time and money, the black holes that people have found.
So of course it's going to depend on the client, because we've seen things work for some clients but not others. So it obviously depends on the audience. But if I'll be fully honest, LinkedIn hasn't seemed to be a huge lead generator for us. I think there's some, and I'm sure there's agencies that have made it work. We just have not figured out a way to make it work yet. I think there's still some value in it in terms of just it being, depending on who your audience is, of having a presence on there and trying to get followers on your company page. Video on LinkedIn is pretty popular right now. Their ad platform, in theory, that you can attract. You can run ads to like certain groups and job titles. It just is very expensive. And so we just haven't figured out a way to make it work. Yeah. But that's not a blanket statement for social media, because like I said, with Facebook, with their lead format, we've seen a lot of success with the auto dealerships and our Iron Door client, and then clients trying to get email opt-ins. And so, but for us, LinkedIn has been a bit of a struggle. Yeah. Yeah. How does a typical engagement work for you? So how do you begin? What are the first steps? What do you do to kind of set a company up? And then what does the ongoing process look like? What is the process from your point of view when you work with a company? Yeah, that's a good question. I'm going to answer it in a way that it's going to give your audience some takeaways, because I think we've learned, the digital side of our business is only 5 years old. I mean, the company is 54 years, but the digital side is only 5 years. And so, if I look at the way we do things now versus the first year, it's really hilarious to kind of see. It's a good hilarious, but it's every year trying to do things a little bit better. And so we've made some tweaks in our process that I'm pretty proud of. And so I think I can give some takeaways here. So how you start a client engagement, whether you're an agency like us or you're an accountant or whatever, it's really important. How you start it is that impression you set. It seems to have a nice long effect because they see that you're taking it seriously from the get-go. And so we have a kickoff, of course, and it's usually a 3-hour kickoff where we talk a lot about their business, try to get to know them as much as possible, ask them all the questions, the access that we need, all that. But we also do a positioning statement exercise with them. So who are they? Who do they sell to? What do they sell? Why do customers buy from them? What resonates with their customers? So we try to paint this picture so that when we're writing content or we're writing ads, we can look back at that positioning statement and just know what we should be saying, who we're speaking to. And so that's actually something we started doing about the beginning of this year. So that's something new. Clients seem to love it, and it's good for the team. We speak to our clients every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, we're doing a recurring phone call. We're speaking in between, of course, but the client knows the bare minimum. They're speaking every 2 weeks. And we did that. So we never used to have account managers. That was something we added 2 years ago. I don't even remember I think it was just whoever was on the account spoke to the client. Kind of crazy, but I think that's what we did.
Things move quickly. I get it.
Yeah. So we add account managers, and so now they're speaking to the client every 2 weeks. So the client's never in the dark as to what we're doing for them. There's that constant communication, which they feed off of and we feed off of. And then our latest and greatest improvement, this is my brother Scott's idea, wasn't my idea, but
give credit where credit's due.
Yep. And so we're doing quarterly reviews with clients every 3 months. We're looking at what we're doing for them and then giving them honest feedback as to what's working, what's not. That way the client knows that, that we're looking out for them, that we're not just letting things coast because we're afraid they're going to cancel. And then I guess the last thing I would say is we have a dashboard that updates in real time. So they are always in the know as to what's working. So if I can boil it down to lessons for the audience, it's for service businesses. It comes down to constant communication and full transparency, whether the news is good news or bad news. I think that's the 2 takeaways for your audience.
Yeah. And I like that, the regular rhythm of communication too. I had an episode with Chris Voss, who wrote FBR Negotiator, and he wrote Never Split the Difference. And we were talking about this whole what builds trust. And one of the things he said is one of the best ways to build trust is just regular, consistent communication. Even if you don't have anything, important to say, knowing that I'm going to get a call every week, every other week, building that consistency is going to build trust with the client. So I like that idea that you're doing a scheduled, sort of proactive, we're just going to do a call every 2 weeks, regardless of what's going on, just to keep that connection going. I think it's really important.
Yeah. And we've seen because sometimes clients get busy and they can't commit to the 2 weeks, every 2 week call. We've noticed an impact when clients start dropping off on those calls. I don't know what it is. Once the communication starts to dry up, it's not like we're trying less. I don't know. I think it just, the communication back and forth every 2 weeks, it just fosters new ideas. Maybe the rapport. I'm not really sure what it is, but I've noticed that when clients stop doing the bi-weekly calls, it's the results. It just sorts the
higher likelihood that it's not gonna be a highly growing account.
Right.
And so I'm curious, just as a leader in a business that's dynamic and changing a lot, any strategies, suggestions to folks who are in leadership positions, things that you've done to up your leadership skills, your knowledge, performance, mindset, anything that you've learned around that process that you can share with the audience here?
Yeah, and I think that question just extended this podcast by like 45 minutes. So whoever's listening, put it on 2-speed. Yes. Okay. So I will go back to, so when I first started the company, it was just me. I was the marketing director. And so now that we have, I think 12 of us now on the digital side, it's been an experience for me, especially because I'm slightly introverted. I wouldn't consider myself, I'm not extrovert. I'm definitely not like a super introvert, but I'm definitely not an extrovert. I'm sort of like in the middle, and I've been used to just being by myself. So having a team now and just learning what comes with being a better leader. And there's been ups and downs, and I'm trying to get better at it. And I think we're going in the right direction, but I've definitely learned a lot. So I think what I've learned is, first off, you have to work on yourself. Yeah. Because if I come in as a weak person, or obviously you have your bad days and good days, but if you come in as a weak person, low energy, and you're not working on yourself, it's just not doing the team any good. We're all adults here, and everyone can improve themselves too. But you have to, I think it's important for leadership to work on themselves and be a better leader and be a better person. And so for me, what that looks like is morning routines, working on mindset. I have a whole morning routine I follow. I even take cold showers.
Which is, we were saying it was easier in the summer, and now that winter's coming, it's going to be more difficult.
So I started doing it in the winter, and it was torture. And now in the summer, I don't feel like the water doesn't even feel that cold.
Yeah,
it's funny, when I went to the shore this summer, I felt like I was like a conditioned athlete for the cold ocean because of the cold showers. So
I love it.
But yeah, so it's working on yourself. And that's going to vary based on, I've had to find out what works best for me. I love listening to podcasts in the car during my commute, like motivational, inspirational, educational stuff. I've got my morning routine, like I said, with meditation and gratitude practice and my cold showers and things like that. So that's the first thing I would say. Just work on yourself and make a habit of it. Turn it into some sort of routine, whatever you think you can stick with. That's, that you could do every day or almost every day. And then I would say the other thing, Bruce, is the culture here, trying to build a better culture and really looking out for your team members and trying to make sure everyone feels appreciated and that that the work environment is not some sort of like militant, very structured thing. Obviously work needs to get done, but I think culture is very important and it's not easy. You try to do the right things and sometimes you think you're doing the right things and the feedback you get is it's like not the greatest thing. So it's just trial and error there as well. Like with marketing, it's trial and error. Yeah.
I think it's a good parallel to what you're doing with clients and marketing strategy is figuring out, what you can try on the cultural side and then getting the feedback, getting the open lines of communication with employees to get honest, sometimes brutally honest feedback on how things are going, what's working, what's not, and then willing to make changes and try new things. So good.
Can I add one more thing to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think what I've learned a lot too. So we do we do company lunches every month. We do quarterly incentives with the team. Like we do rock climbing and laser tag and what else? We do breakfasts for when it's their birthday. So we try to do all these things. And I think really, obviously everyone's motivated by something different. But what I've noticed that, and I kind of I can relate to it because I can relate to it because I think the same way. It's everyone wants to feel like their career is growing, that they're doing something that matters, that there's purpose behind what they do. So I think the secret is really finding out what motivates the person, but also showing them recognition, showing them that their job, that there's a purpose, that there's a path for them, and that what they do matters. And that's kind of what I'm learning.
Yeah, no, those are good points. Ryan, this has been a pleasure. If people want to find out more about you, about Ballantine, what's the best way to get that information?
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Ryan Cote, Cote. I also have a special landing page for your audience. I know you'll have it in the show notes, but it's ballantine.com/SUS for scaling up services, obviously. And on there is my LinkedIn profile to connect with me, but also there's an offer for a free digital analysis via video. So I basically bring up the company's website and I do a free video analysis of what they're doing, their SEO, their social, all of that. And that's free.
Great. Yes, I will make sure that the link is in the show notes here. Thank you for doing that. That's a great strategy. Everyone else take note. Customized offers, customized content, the way to go. This has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time. Great content, great insight. I've really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Bruce. And thanks everyone for listening.
You've been listening to Scaling Up Services with business coach Bruce Eckfeldt. To find a full list of podcast episodes, download the tools and worksheets, and access other great content, visit the website at scalingupservices.com. And don't forget to sign up for the free newsletter at scalingupservices.com/newsletter.